Hello, happy Wednesday. I hope you are having as great of a day as I am. We at BSBA have a treat for you with this Business Boost program. If you did not sign up, you missed out. Hopefully, you catch us in the second cohort. But today, we are here to talk about the CEO mindset, not Business Boost. With our resident, okay, I always get this wrong, professional development and training coordinator.
Good enough.
I always mess that up.
Good enough. It's a long title.
It's a
Who
long
picked that
title,
title?
but you earn that. It's all you do, all of that. You guys, welcome today, Jessica
Mm,
West from Solid Rock Workforce Development Solutions. Did I get that right?
No development, but hi everybody.
Oh,
I'm glad to be back in the building once again.
man, I'm butchering these names. I got to get my mind right.
It's a lot of names to keep in our heads.
It is, but you know what? When you're doing the work, give me all the names. Like people when they get all those degrees, they got all those letters behind their names. They earn
I
every
want
last
every
one
single
of them.
letter.
We're gonna
I
give you those.
earned it. Yes, and paid for it.
Amen. So, Mrs. Hunt West, what you gonna tell us today?
Yeah, so we're talking
Something.
about that CEO mindset. I think this is an important topic for businesses, organizations, whether you work. A lot of times it's minimized to corporate America. But truthfully, if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, you are the CEO of your organization. Now, there's a chances are you are not also the CEO, but you're the worker bee, right? You're the one doing the bulk of the work. But it's really important that you're not neglecting that CEO mindset. And so we're going to talk through some tips on just honing in on that mindset and what that really looks like, because we can very easily get into the mindset of being just someone who's on the team, right? And we've done that from just learning to work and go to work. From the time, whatever age you started your working career. But it is a shift when we talk about that CEO mindset. It's a shift that we have to have, and it's a continuous learning curve, if you will, that you have to put on that hat continuously. So we want to chat through a couple of tips. My first one is strategic thinking. This is a huge one for me. Strategic thinking is the number one hat as a CEO that you are constantly having on. The reason why is because, especially if you have any members of your team, organizations that you might partner with, or even customers, a lot of times people do not think strategically. They think about what's in front of them. They think about the task at hand and what has to be accomplished in that moment. And while that is certainly important and very relevant, so is the big picture. And so the strategic thinker is one that not only sees short term, but they think long term. What is the long term strategy? They consider how their actions today are going to impact the organization down the line. And so this is vital to us being a thriving business. We have to be able to see and look and think ahead. And what you do to do that is relevant to your, not only your skill set, but it's relevant to your industry and your business. Do you know where your business and your industry, what that might look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? You need to be doing that research. It's not enough to just know what's happening in today's market of 2024. You need to know what's going to happen in 2029. What's going to happen, in 2030. If you plan on being in business that long, then you have to be able to think ahead. You got to be able to strategize. And there's a lot of different resources that can help us with strategizing and thinking ahead, right? There's a ton of resources that we have available, some of them right at our fingertip, but we should be looking at articles. We should be reading and researching trends within our market, within our businesses and organizations. This means staying up to date with what's going on, and not only what's going on specifically within your industry, but things that would affect your industry. i.e. technology. Some of us, because we don't know, we're not a techie person. And so because of that, we think I don't need to keep up with the changes in technology, but you do, because technology can and does affect our everyday lives and business. So strategic thinking is the kind of the most key, it definitely is one of the key CEO mindsets that you want to have. It is your responsibility as that CEO to think not only ahead and at immediate task as well, but to consider the overall goal and direction of your company. So do you know the direction that your company is headed? How are you looking to expand your business? Maybe today, you're selling one item, but five or 10 years from now, you're selling multiple items. So you need to have that strategy in place. What are you building towards, and have goals around it?
I absolutely love that. I was going to stop you when you were talking about the CEO mindset at first, and I said, the CEO mindset is the team of me. Remember that
Yep.
from Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins, and he kept saying, "It's the team
Yes.
of me, it's the team of me," and he had a whole team of people, but it was like in his mind, it was the team of me. And sometimes you
Yeah.
really have to think that way
Yep.
in order to accomplish those things that you really want to get done. So that was
Yeah.
good. I like that strategic thinking.
You
What you
you
got?
absolutely do, Selena. And you know what? You bring up a great point, because a lot of times in my experience, like I'll have team members come and ask me certain questions, or why can't we do this? Or why do we have to, why do we have to set these things in order? And it's like, because 6 months from now, when I'm doing an audit, this information is going to be relevant, right? So it wasn't relevant to them in the moment, but my experience has taught me I'm going to need this information at a later date, right? And so a lot of times, again, when we're focused on the right now objective that's in front of us, we'll forget long-term things. And I'm sure you can attest to this too. The worst thing is having to circle back and dig out information and recover information, knowledge, or processes, that you wish were in place, or that you had to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's about initiating something for the long term, so that it's already in place. We've created solid habits that expand with us as our business expands.
I love that, because I was just thinking too, as a CEO, you don't really, like you hire task members and they're tasked with that one thing that they're tasked with.
Yep.
But as a CEO, you have to be able to see how everything works and comes together
Yes.
to meet that bigger thing that you're trying to do. And so that strategic thinking, it really comes in that part is how do all of the pieces of this puzzle fit to
Right.
make this picture come together the way it's supposed to.
Absolutely. And what works for one might be great, but then it won't work in another department, or with another task. And so it's really important that you're think of it as a puzzle, right? Each section, each department, each worker, each task might be a piece of the puzzle, but then you're responsible to make sure that the entire puzzle picture is coming together. So it is extremely important that we are seeing the big picture.
Awesome.
That second tip, we're talking about a CEO mindset today, is leadership, excuse me. CEOs, this is a huge one. Lead by example and inspire others. This is extremely important. There are times when I'm working with my team that I might delegate a task. There are times where I might assign, you and your business may assign someone, or even pay to have someone else do something on your behalf or on behalf of your organization. But then there are times where you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to work alongside individuals, right? Or if you're, especially as most of us are, small organizations, I don't just get to sit at the top and just dictate what needs to get done. I'm going to have to
Never.
roll up my sleeves.
Never.
I'm going to have to do some of the work,
Never
right?
happens.
Most of
It
us all
seems
the
like a
work,
good
right?
idea.
Yeah, we're going to have to do the work. But the key is that when you have a mentality to lead by example, and when you have a mentality to inspire others, to set the vision of the organization, then what happens is people gravitate to that, right? So if I'm in an organization where I'm leading by example, right? If I am leading by example, can be something as simple as being professional with your business. Leading by example can be something as simple as, and we talked about this the last time, but if I say I'm calling you back at 3:00, the phone's ringing at 2:59, not at 4:30, right? These, not at least, especially not without some kind of communication. So these are things that when we lead by example, our leadership, and I call it our leadership shadow is extremely important. Are we leading by example? And are we inspiring others? And this is really important. If you're a team of one right now, that doesn't mean you don't lead by example and you don't inspire others. But what you're inspiring is others that work within or work with your organization. It might be other businesses right now that you're partnering with. Again, you still have a leadership shadow. And that's how businesses and organizations, like-minded or collaboration, which is extremely important, gravitate towards you.
That's awesome. Leadership.
Number 3 is ownership and accountability. That's a powerful one. And we just talked a little bit about, or at least I just gave an example of that accountability. Businesses. Accountability is owning up to our commitments and owning up to our mistakes and owning up to our word, our name, our brand. Someone asked me a long time ago, how did you develop the work ethic that you have? And I shared with them that I was taught at a young age by my parents and my grandparents, especially my grandfather. He was an entrepreneur all of his life. And he taught
said,
me
follow instructions.
He
follow
did.
Instructions.
He absolutely, that was his mantra, follow instructions. But he also taught us that your name is all you have. People could take a whole lot of things from you, but they can't take your name, right? So your name is extremely important. Let your yay be yay and your nay be nay. If you cannot, your job is to under promise and over deliver. Under promise and over deliver, right? But we do have to take ownership and accountability about of our responsibilities. We hold ourselves accountable to results. And this is extremely important as an entrepreneur, because in an entrepreneurial world, we don't have anybody to hold us accountable. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to do the work. So if you say you're going to get something done, you need to set deadlines and goals for yourself, and then make the necessary steps to get it done by the goal that you set. This is accountability. And we have to, as a CEO, we have to not only set goals, but we have to be responsible to achieve them. And then we have to admit when we've made a mistake and then learn from them. We learn mistakes are opportunities to grow. They're opportunities to learn, right? But a lot of times we don't want to say, I'm wrong. I'll tell my husband in a heartbeat, I don't like saying you right. I'm right. I'm always right.
I will say you was wrong.
When you're right, I'm right because we won. I'm always right? No. We have to be able to acknowledge when we haven't done something or when we have made a mistake. Acknowledge it. And you know what's key about that is genuine leaders understand that just because I'm a leader doesn't mean I know everything. A genuine leader, and this, let me just help for those of you who are at a point where you're building teams, maybe your business, you're adding individuals. It's okay to bring somebody on your team that knows more than you, because they ain't gonna do nothing but make you look good, right? That is the goal. When you're building a team, is to incorporate people that can help build the vision, so that you don't have to carry the load by yourself, right? So it's okay to have individuals in your circle or have individuals on your team that know more than you do, or they may know more about a particular subject than you do. That's okay.
Can you speak to this unhealthy thing of competition
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happens within organizations? Like, I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm if
Yeah.
you're good at what you do, I want to help you be greater. Like,
Yeah.
and I hope you feel the same way about me. Can you talk about that for a minute? Where does
No,
that
but
come from?
it's human nature. It's a survival mechanism, right? Human nature teaches us to be top, to be on top, right? Because on top is the one that it usually is the one that doesn't get the axe, right? It's usually the one that gets the attention, the accolades, etc. So it's human nature to want to be better than. Or to be on top for most of us. That is just a genuine human nature. So we have to address that within. At the end of the day, and this goes back to that first point of seeing the bigger picture. The bigger picture is we either get there together and we build something together, or we don't. We don't really win if I get there and you don't. That's not a team, right? Exactly. That's not a partnership. That's not a collaboration. And so it's remembering that we need each other. And, culturally, that's something we struggle with a lot. We are crabs in a pot sometimes, where we think that by getting up, we have to pull others down. Can I tell you that there's room at the top for more than just one? And if we could learn how to pull our resources together, and collaborate, we could cover more ground and we can do more things and accomplish more things than we ever could apart. So we've got to shift our way of thinking, and that way of thinking again comes from human nature. And we already know flesh ain't no good anyways, but human nature can mislead us. Oh no, here we go, I'm slipping in. Human nature it can mislead us. So we do have to work together. We do have to learn. Some competition is healthy, right? But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be jealous if somebody gets to the top and does good. It's just going to push me to be stronger and become better.
I love it. Thank you for addressing that.
Absolutely. Number 4 is decision making. CEOs and that CEO mindset, we're skilled at decision making. Now, this is important because some people make irrational decisions, and we make irrational decisions out of emotions and feelings, and it ends up not being good for us or good for our business, right? An example of this is, you have upset me, and so emotionally, instead of diplomatically handling the situation, I just go off. Now I done burned a bridge. The relationship is now tarnished. I don't know who you know, and I don't know what door you can open down the road. But now it's damaged because of a situation or a misunderstanding that if it was just handled correctly, it could have been, squashed. It doesn't mean we don't address difficult topics or situations or conversations, but we handle those things with care, with professionalism at all times, because the world is big, but it's small. And you would be surprised. You would be surprised. So decision making is really, really key. And what's important about decision making is we should not be making decisions that affect and impact our business without doing the work. What do I mean by doing the work? That means researching. That means reviewing data, gathering information to make an informed decision. Period. Dot.
I want to give you a bullhorn, but
we can't make an informed decision without information. So we got to gather the information, gather the data, and then you can make an intelligent decision. Does it always mean that you'll make the right one even after doing that? Absolutely not. But at least you've made an informed decision. An informed decision, and that's important. You know, the other thing about that though is that a CEO, at some point, somebody has to make a decision.
Somebody does it.
Now, this is key for me because we can't, you know, you can go back and forth for a little bit, but the reason why the CEO is the CEO is because the buck stops with them. It is your business and your organization. The buck stops with you. You got to make a decision at some point and stick to the decision and execute the decision.
No matter how hard the decision making is, whatever the decision you have to make is.
The point of a CEO is that they make decisions under pressure. That is what we do. So the CEO of your business, you're going to make all of your choices and decisions don't come in a nice, comfortable box, bow package. You're going to have to make some difficult choices, some difficult decisions in high pressure situations. And what makes good leadership is the ability to remain calm when all this chaos is going on, to again gather the data, do the research, and make the informed decision. And so what prevents a lot of people from really putting on that CEO thinking hat is that when the pressure comes, we buckle.
Yeah, we do.
We buckle. We become paralyzed. Fear has a paralyzing effect. And so now we're to the point where we're not making any decision, or we're double-minded. We're going in and out, right? But we have to, a strong leader, a strong CEO-minded individual is going to gather that information, and they're going to make an informed decision, and they're going to do it even in those high-pressured, high risk, lot on the line situations. A decision has to be made. That is.
And if you do gather the data and you do the research and you still can't come to a decision, that's where your mentors come in. The
Absolutely.
That you depend on, that have more experience than you, that, I got somebody for every section of what I'm trying to do. And, that's where your mentors come in. You need those.
Absolutely. And they'll give hopefully great advice, right? Hopefully they'll help to kind of sort through the noise to, again, get us to those calm places where we can, and by calm, I mean the situation might not be calm, but I'm calm here, right? To be able to make those rational choices and those rational decisions. I tell people, leaders that I train all the time, when it comes to being able, just a couple of tips when it comes to being able to make sound, wise, and perform informed decision-making in high pressure situations, it's to first pause. Sometimes it's just getting your own self together. So if I'm feeling so wired that I'm all over the place, because sometimes that happens when things are good, and they of course happen when they're bad, I might get up and just take a walk. That's the first thing. You got to relax your mind. The second thing is I might then map it out, write it out. What is the choices and the decisions that you made? Write out what some of the effects to those choices and decisions are. What are the expected outcomes? What are the intended outcomes, and what are some outcomes that maybe the team isn't thinking about? You got to take the time to really map that out, right? Write it out, map it out in your head. Then number 3, that's when you again get back to that gathering that information. Now you got to gather to be able to make a informed decision. Okay, if I do this, how is that going to go? What would that look like, right? If we do it this way, how would that look? What would that look like? Okay. The Bible talks about accomplishing some things. No one starts without first having counted up the cost. You got to count up the cost when it comes to decision making. All right. And then, of course, at the end of that, then make your decision and stick to it. Make your decision, and move forward with execution. And if it doesn't work, or if you have to tweak the plan along the way, then so be it. But now the decision was made. It wasn't made with haste and irrational thinking. It was made with a thought process in mind.
I love that. Count up the costs. Better do
Yeah.
some evaluation and figure it out. How's this going to impact me? And that's the difference between a
Yes.
CEO and somebody who's, just working on one thing. What happens if you don't
Yeah.
do that one thing? It's probably not as
Right.
impactful as if you don't do one thing that impacts 15 different things. And I
Absolutely.
think that's kind of like we don't realize how
Hmm.
much we
Yeah.
have on us, to be able to I mean, like the different decisions that we make, like how
Yep.
much it impacts everything, our bottom line, and how we
Yes.
move on a daily.
Yes. This is so huge, right? Because a lot of times in businesses, when you think about it, I just want to give those who watch this an example, right? Sometimes we're in a rush to, let's say, open up a brick and mortar, right? But we haven't actually gained enough sales to sustain rent for a brick and mortar, right? So this is what we mean by counting up the cost. This is what we mean by being able to think through and make sound choices and decisions. How can you replicate something, another example, a product, and you don't even know how much it cost to create the product? So we have to be able to think through and really process, again, write it out, map it out, and think things through, because this will help us make sound choices and sound decisions for our business. And then if that becomes a goal, what do I need to do? What goal do I need to set and reach to be able to then do what it is that I want to do?
Wow, that's good. Okay, we got 2 minutes, and I know 2.5, and I know you have a hard stop. So you probably got 85 tips, and we can't do all of them. So,
Nope, it's all right. I'm gonna skip to the final one. I'm gonna skip
all
to the
right.
final one because I had 7, and I think we're on like 4 or 5. But my final one is continual learning. If you're gonna have a CEO mindset, you've got to continue always to learn. Educate yourself. And this goes back to what we talked about, trends. Where is your company in 5 years, in 10 years from now? You don't develop that knowledge and skill set without continuously learning. Technology is rapidly evolving. How are you developing your business along with the changing of technology, the changing of the market? There's no way to do that if you're not continually focused on improving, learning, growing as an individual and as a leader, as a CEO.
I
So
love
those are
that.
my tips for CEO mindset today.
Come on, tips for CEO mindset in 28 minutes and 47 seconds.
Yes.
I am so glad that you were able to find time to join us today. I know your schedule is crazy busy, but I appreciate you pouring into our business, our small business community. And
Yes.
I can't wait to hear what you talk about next month and the month after that and the month after that, or tomorrow if you come into the office and I see you and get to just sit with you,
Yeah.
because I always learn so much. So with that, guys, thank you for joining us for our Lunch and Learn today, the CEO Mindset with Mrs. Jessica Hunt West. And we will see you for Finance Friday. Have a wonderful day.
Take care.